This is Jonathan St. James, and you're listening to The Truth is Still Straight podcast. All right, folks, once again, this is Jonathan St. James and The Truth is Still Straight podcast. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate the applause. Okay. All right. Before we start, as always, I love to give a shout out to my co-hosts who aren't here today, LaDon Marie, Dawn M. Kane, Donnie St. James, and Jim. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the booze. All right. And secondly, but not least, of course, I'd like to thank all those who subscribe and support the show. And that is Pedro Falcone, Tatiana Cruz, Lee Jones, Tessie, Sister Millie from the West Coast, V, Mr. Wilkes, Mahir, Milton, Gonzalez, Beverly, Snotty, Reggie, and Courtney, Claw, or K-Law, RJ, Latoya, and Shelia. Thank you for your support in any way that you're giving it. All right. So, before we start, let's go over some things. Today is the 15th. It's been 10 days since Kevin Samuel passed, unfortunately. A lot of people have really celebrated his death, which was very unfortunate. As I said previously, that I never celebrate the passing of anyone. It's in poor taste and unnecessary. If somebody was not the greatest person or you thought he was a bad person, let that go lie with their memory. I don't know why people thought it was good. I call it Garcelle Beauvoir, called it a Beauvoir, how you say her name. She Vivica Fox and all these people commented saying that he got, I think it was Vivica Fox, I believe, that she said that he got his karma, more or less, not exactly in those words, but I'm not going to repeat everything she said. But my reaction to that is
stupid.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said I would continue to do some reactions until it doesn't feel right anymore. Of course, there was some things. The last video that he did, Modern Women Are a Party of One, I wanted to kind of continue on that video. He had, I think, 2 or 3 parts to it. I want to go over the second part so we can continue to have a discussion of the things that Kevin believed in. I mean, I've listened to quite a bit of his shows, so I don't think it's unfounded to have an idea of what he was speaking of, and also in that give my interpretation of things. Of course, that's what we all do. So some people may agree, some people may have a take of their own that might be similar to mine, but that's the point of this discussion, is really just to kind of keep the dialogue going on. I don't know who's going to take up the conversation for him. There's some people out there, Fresh and Fit, that do their own kind of thing. Lapeef Network, they do their own. There are a couple other people out there, but not quite in the manner of Kevin Samuels. So let's begin here. Okay, so again, this is from Instagram Live, his last video, which was Modern Women Are a Party of One. So let's go.
Hi, I'm Sophia. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 25, so
25.
a bit younger than some of the people you've been having on.
Well, did you have a question, or do you want to talk about the topic?
Both. So one, I haven't been listening to you for a super long time, but I've come in and out of different lives. And one thing I was noticing is you don't always necessarily talk about the monolithic woman in maybe the best light. And I would love to know, what do you like about women?
So, okay. Now, I didn't see this particular part, but she sounds like she's insulting him, So I don't know if he'll respond like this,
Oh, hell no.
or he'll say this,
How dare you?
or maybe even.
Come on, man.
So let's see how this starts off. Because, like I said, I didn't watch this portion of the video because I wasn't sure if I was going to react to it. But let's go. Offhand, that was a little sort of disrespectful. And I can't imagine that he didn't react in kind. You know how Kevin does. He returns the favor when you give it to him. But let's see.
The monolithic woman is the best
Or
life. What
well,
does that
I
mean?
feel like you act like women all act the same when like they don't necessarily. And so I would love to know, like, what do you like about women?
Just a second. Audience, I want you to fix your eyes on the screen over here.
Hold on. Let's say this.
This is a certified hood classic.
Because I think he's about to be like,
Should I get him? Should I get him?
so let's see what's going on here, because she's already started off on the wrong foot, and she sounds like he's gonna be telling her
That's why you would buy a dog and die alone.
but let's continue on. Let's just say I'm finding this very humorous, but go ahead, let's go.
Everyone is special. No one can be generalized.
Nope.
All women act the same. Do you think women act more similar or different?
I mean, I think just overly, I don't like people
I
from
don't care
all
what you,
over the
man. You
world
keep saying like.
circumstances.
Ma'am, hold on. I want to, let's do this. Let's do this. Are you a college? Are you an educated woman?
Yeah.
Okay. Are generalizations valid?
To a point, but we need to be specific of like, I assume
Okay,
you're talking about women.
you have a Bluetooth? You have a Bluetooth or something? Are you on Bluetooth or something?
No, it's weird feedback here. I can move you. Does that sound better?
Well, yeah, there was a slight delay. Are generalizations valid? You said what?
To a certain extent.
Oh,
I think I
my.
reference that
Are
we're making
generalizations valid?
generalizations being specific to the area you're making the generalization. So if we're talking about women in
It's hot
like
in
urban,
Arizona. It's hot in Arizona. Is it
Mhm.
always hot in Arizona?
For the most part,
Nah,
yes.
B.
But it's not always.
Nope.
But is the generalization valid?
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So let's stop it there. Of course. See, I don't know why people get into this argument with him. Generalization. So generalizations make sense. A generalization would be children recover from illnesses faster than older people. Older people recover less, not as quick as younger people. Those are generalizations, right? Um, let's say a big thing is fibroids. Like fibroids are a big issue with women in the Black community. That is a generalization. It doesn't mean every woman gets fibroids. It doesn't mean it applies to every woman, but we know that lots of women have issues with fibroids in the Black community, especially. So do our generalizations something to talk about? Absolutely. It makes sense when you talk about generalization. When we talk about people who go to high school more likely to earn this amount of income, people who go to college tend to do this. A lot of people who go to college have school loans. If the generalization wasn't true, but Joe Biden and politicians wouldn't be talking about loan forgiveness if that wasn't a generalization that is true.
Got him.
But let's continue on.
So what I talk about is broad generalizations that are broadly true for most women.
Okay.
Why do we need to go into the tangential or the nuance?
I think for me, I've been waiting to see someone that has a similar train of thought or belief system as me on your show, or you talking about someone like me, if that makes specific, or I'm being
Okay.
broad.
So I'm going to briefly stop it there. See, the problem with that, what she just said, is he doesn't control who he snaps on the line. It's not like here, I'm going to say, okay, who is blah, 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 A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And okay, that's the person. So let me click on you. You click on someone, generalizing in terms of they have a question or a comment or a disagreement on a topic, and they engage in the conversation. Just, doesn't work quite that way. Not on this platform. Let's continue.
So, for example, a lot of times you have women on your show who are 30s and above with kids, like in and out of relationships. That's not me. And so when I'm going into the show, I'm like, is he going to talk about someone like me?
Oh my
And so
God.
that's
What does that mean?
Right.
What's someone like you?
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting to have sex till marriage.
Okay.
So when dating, me dating looks
Oh,
different
okay.
than someone
Yeah,
who really.
ma'am,
Mhm.
I've had at least 7 shows on that very topic.
Okay. And I did say I was new, so I definitely missed it.
You.
That's on me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, there's 3 or 4 videos up from this year.
Okay.
Is this a religious belief?
Yeah, for the most part. It's like a promise
Oh
I
my
made to
God.
God. So yeah.
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
That was a delay on the Christian. So is she really a Christian?
Nah, B.
That's very weird how she said that. I'm just trying to figure out what her deal is over here.
I
Well, what I'm doing is I'm asking at 25, you're waiting till marriage to have sex, right?
yes.
Okay. And what I'm trying to understand is where that belief comes from,
Mhm.
number one, and how strongly it's attached.
Very strong.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, do you attend church regularly?
I just moved to DC about a year ago during COVID, and so it's been pretty hard to find churches. But I've worked in ministry for a while, and I'm still very part of my church back home in
Why is she
Seattle,
moving
just
that phone?
online, so not a physical church.
So the answer is no.
But because of COVID, I only
Nope.
have online
And
churches.
we've been, okay.
Nope.
You could have been out, no.
I mean, I go to
DC,
church.
okay,
I'm
okay.
just not
All
a
right.
part of
Okay,
it.
so the direct answer is no, I don't go to the physical church body. I have
I
my
should have
B.
corrected myself. I do go to the physical church body. Yes. I'm just not a member
regular.
of church
Okay, so
where I am.
this is a belief that you hold strongly, but you're not in the body.
I am. I'm just not a member of a church
You have a
in
church
a
home you
physical.
visit, you have a church home you go to weekly.
So I'm a little confused here because first she said she went online because of COVID, and now she says she goes to church, but she's not a member. This story is changing as we speak.
Oh, hell no.
So I'm not sure what the point of this discussion is and why she's even talking to Kevin, other than the fact that she thinks she's nice looking, smelling herself good, and wanted to be famous by going on this show. So let's see what happens from this point.
What's going on with your camera? Because you're coming in. Do you have a church home that you go to weekly?
Yes.
Nope.
Is there an active singles ministry?
I just started going to it around Easter, so I'm not sure. I don't think
What?
so. But but I could definitely check it out. It's a very small church.
Stop. You're already getting to the problems. You don't go to a church regularly. The church you go to doesn't have an active singles ministry, so I'm sure they don't have a ministry that's actively promoting marriage with you. The church why did you pick the church you attend?
Oh, the deception, the betrayal, man. You deceived.
Can you get close to the window or something? Because your Wi-Fi is doing something. I don't know what's going on.
Here,
You got people calling you or something?
Yeah, let me just turn my phone off.
It's funny how Kevin gets annoyed when these little things happen.
So I was going to one church in a different part of the DMV, and I noticed some of the things the pastor believed.
How are you supposed to find a husband? How are you supposed to find a husband? How are you supposed to find a husband?
I'm a member of a Black professionals networking group, and so I'm there.
Christian. It's not Christian.
Or they have different.
How are you supposed to find?
Now they have a Christian version of that.
It comes down to.
May you let me finish, please?
No. Nope, because you go on and go on. And
I was trying to tell you.
No, that's not how that's going. That's not how that's going
What?
to work.
Say that again. I wish he could let her finish that.
And that's not how it's going to work because I've given you plenty of latitude. You don't answer directly. The bottom line is,
son, where'd you find this?
But I'm asking the fundamental blocking and tackling. How are you supposed to find Mr. Right? How are you supposed to find you?
Christian.
And if you're in the dating environment with non-Christian people, being able to hold your chastity until marriage in a worldly dating environment, not likely.
Message.
Sort of what I was going to say is in these Black professional groups, they have different singles ministries for Christian. And I'm in those.
Wait.
I smell cap.
So here's the thing with that. Lady, I don't think you rehearsed your story when you came on here because now you're saying a professional group, a professional business group, not a church group, has single ministries in it. Why would a professional group have single ministries? They may have a Christian group, but why will they have singles ministries? And where is this group located?
Oh my.
You know, Steve Harvey, what do you have to say about this lady and what she has to say?
Oh, hell no.
And, you know, it's funny because I just don't know if she's actually telling the truth. I don't think so.
What the hell was that?
Exactly, Stephen A. Smith. And before we forget, I do think I have Maury Povich on the line, and he is going to tell me what he has to say about her comment about this professional business group that has single ministries.
My detector test determined that was a lie.
So, lady, your lie is up. But let's hear what else she has to say. Hopefully, Kevin will call her out. Rest in peace, Kevin.
But again, who's leading you in who's leading you or guiding you in your quest to be found by your husband?
My pastor back home in Seattle.
Your pastor back home in Seattle, but you're not in Seattle.
Right.
Correct. And I do
So
have
my point is, I talk to women like you. When I talk about Christian feminism and all, I've talked to women like this. And if you guys will recall, the 42-year-old woman that lived in Seattle, the virgin, she was retaining herself. At the end of the day, you can have your belief, but unless you're dating from a pool of men who share your same belief, the likelihood of running into a man is going to wait until marriage. How long do you think after meeting a man before you would accept his proposal for marriage?
1 to 2 years.
Wow.
So a man is supposed to meet you and date you, and 1 to 2 years later propose to you. Right?
I've been in relationships for 1 to 2 years, yeah.
1 to 2 years, right, but you were also young.
True.
So that man is going to be without sex Yeah.
I mean, everyone that
Beta.
Dave did hasn't had sex with me, and those relationships have been about 1 to 2 years. Do you think
Mm-hmm.
it's not realistic for, say, the modern woman?
So, just because he's not having sex with you doesn't mean he's not having sex at all.
Aha.
Yeah, you got to think of it that way because it doesn't always mean that what someone's doing with you, they're not doing at all.
Hey, you there.
So you got to keep that in mind, lady. I'm not saying that he is out there having sex with somebody else, but just because you're not doing it with him, doesn't mean that he's not doing it with you. I mean, you could ask him, and maybe he's telling you that, but I don't know what Christian group you're a part of, but let's not pretend that Christians are not out there having sex. We know that happens because there's plenty of women with kids in the church. So we do know that Christians do have sex. I was going to a church one time and I loved the church, but guess what? There was plenty of excuse me, men and women in the church having sex and having kids, not being married. So that does happen in church. So Christians do have sex outside of marriage. It's called fornication, right? We know it happens. Just saying.
I don't think it's realistic for a woman who's not in a church. If it's realistic if you are a woman who's really following her religious convictions. That means you're in a church that one of the main motivations is to foster marriage. They have a singles ministry, male and female, where they actively help couples couple
I
because
agree.
you can have your belief. I was raised in the church. I've been over singles ministries, and I'm going to tell you, women like you exist everywhere, but you're still trying to date in the worldly market, and
Hmm.
that's easier to do when you're younger. Have somebody wait 1, 2 years, but if you're 25, dear heart, ain't no man in the dating market going to wait 1 to 2 years unless he shares your belief system.
Right. Because he's definitely going to be,
Beta.
yeah, it's not easy out there. And, a lot of guys, I mean, not saying there aren't any, but the reality is, especially like he said, if you're not really in the church, especially in the church where people are serious, because that's the thing too. There's some churches that you got the congregation, they serious and on fire for the Lord. And, there's some churches out there that they're trying to, you know,
Oh my.
and get it on. You know what I'm talking about. But let's continue.
I have a question for you in that case.
Do
What are
you
So
these
believe
questions?
that?
that makes sense to me. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So
It does.
the church I was a part of for
In
like
Seattle?
the last year before I switched to this new church, they had a really good
Is
ministry
that in
program.
Seattle?
However, some of their doctrine was off. Is it, you said you came from a faith background. Do you think it's worth it going to church just to be part of the like
Well, I think if you're
singles
going to
young
use
adult
that as a,
ministry?
you're going to maintain. Oh, yes, because that's the. Where else are you going to find? Where else are you
Like-minded
going to have
people.
a high amount of men who are going
Hmm.
to be willing to
I agree with
do
that.
what you're asking?
I agree with that.
Especially in a hookup culture, you're
Come
not going to
on,
meet any
people.
husbands,
Hmm.
and then husbands ain't going to wait 2 years.
I agree.
Why do you need to wait 1 to 2 years?
I mean, in my head that like sounds right, but I think of my heart, there isn't no set rule when it comes to love, when it comes to finding a partner and someone to build with, you know.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
All right. So, I don't know what is with these ladies. They always come on here talking about building with somebody. So I don't know who's building these days, but A lot of men are not trying to build necessary. Hold on, let me not say that right. So I don't want to say they're not trying to build, but they're not thinking out loud about building. It's kind of something if you're at a place in life where you're not established and you do find someone you get married to, then you kind of build that life together. But it does depends. At 25, a lot of 25-year-olds are not trying to get married to other 25 years olds and turn them from men to women. So if he's a little older, he may be a little bit more established. But I know some people want to be 25 and being in a relationship with 25-year-olds. A lot of times that doesn't work because the 25-year-old guy is not on the same level as the 25-year-old woman. So
One eternity later.
they're trying to figure it out. And like she heard what she said, 1 to 2 years, and they break up and this and that. And before you know it, you're in the danger zone and your friends are laughing at you behind your back. But that's for another day.
Well, first off, you're not looking to find, that's where you really just fell apart. Christian feminists. Partner ain't got nothing to do with Christianity. Love, what love got to do with it? We didn't fall in love before we got married. We got married and we got used to one another because we didn't date prior to the 40s and the rise of the Beers Company and Hallmark and all this other stuff. Your great grandparents jumped brooms. There was no 1 to 2 year dating. Lastly, building, there's another modern woman fantasy. So I think that many women, I know many women are in church, are of faith, who are not living that life. So
Absolutely.
you're in the dating market. You're in the dating market and you're 25 and you're only going to get older. And I'm going to tell you that a man waiting 1 to 2 years, I don't see that happening. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason I don't have conversations like this, man, is because most people don't do this.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. A lot of women are indulging in that sexuality. And then they go through relationships to relationships. Then they come on the show and kind of have to shout them out. And then their response is,
Can I do that?
and don't take accountability for making themselves wait. And then they are older, and all of a sudden now they're coming. Well, go on. I don't know how to even discuss that because they're not going on anymore. But they would go on Kevin's show and they'd be talking about.
I'm fighting for my life.
And so she's kind of early in the game, but before you know it, it'll be years, and she'll be back talking to somebody about Kendra G maybe talking about how she gonna get a man.
And the reason you're doing it is your personal beliefs, but do you want to be a Christian? Do you want to have a Christian marriage? Christian hierarchy?
No,
Um,
no, nope, nope, nope.
Huh.
I think,
Funny how that pause happened.
That was a
yeah,
long pause. Yeah,
I
big tell.
wouldn't frame it as a hierarchy. I think
Nah,
Oh, it
nah,
is a
there's
nah.
a
hierarchy, just like
beautiful thing.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost. There is a hierarchy. What's the vertical relationship?
Absolutely. But what I was saying is
The
like
vertical relationship
when we
implies
look at the
hierarchy. Does it not?
yes.
Okay.
But what I wanted to like that specific word where the whole hierarchy is like stemming from is like submission. And when we look at like the Aramaic or the Hebrew version, it's more of like a teammate, a coach, and a player. And there's something really beautiful about that. And so I would say that's what I would want. It isn't just like, oh,
Eve wasn't Adam's teammate. See,
you don't think so?
you
They
should go
didn't
back
work
and
in
look
the
at all the
garden
videos
together?
I did on. You can go back and look at all the videos I did on Christian feminism.
Well, if you're following the Bible, she was definitely not the teammate because Adam was responsible before Eve came along, right? He was the one naming the animals and things like that. So clearly, they weren't on the same level in the Bible. And even if you really dig into the text, Adam allowed himself to have the same fate as Eve. He accepted the same fate as Eve because he could have chose not to do it. So clearly they weren't on the same level. And but he committed himself to Eve and he allowed himself to receive the same fate as she did. Because remember, she took in the fruit first and then Adam took it. But Adam knew pretty well what was going on when he did it. And of course, he accepted the responsibility for it, the accountability for it. And they were cast out the Garden of Eden. Anyway, that's a different story.
Then I have videos where I'm talking to women who are born again virgins or holding on. Ma'am, I've talked to you. I lived in Dallas where the Potter's on. And my point is, you talked about the doctrine is not sound. This isn't sound.
No, not sound.
This is basically you making up what you want to.
No, I go into seminary. I continue to study,
Okay, well,
and I'm
but
reading both the old text as well as the translated English text.
okay, but in order to, but do you want
talking
your,
to
but your
God.
husband has to still be a believer.
Yes.
Okay, then where are you interacting with these men?
There's a group called the Sexless Tribe, and so I've talked to some guys on there, and then in different
online group?
Black singles groups. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
This lady is all over the place. First she talked about her professional groups, and now she says the sexist tribe. Lady, you're not keeping this story straight. I'm just saying this is the third version. First, she was not in the church. Then she was in the church, not a member. Um, those ministries, and she was receiving mentoring from her pastor in Seattle. Then she wasn't attending church for COVID reasons, and then she was attending church, but she didn't find any ministries in there. Then she belongs to a professional group, and in the professional group, there were singles ministries. This is all over the place. That's all I'm saying. Um, Stephen A. Smith, he always likes to give comments on the show. Stephen A., uh, what is it that you have to say to this lady?
Stay off the weed.
Thank you, Stephen A. I appreciate it.
you're 25. How much time do you think you have to waste?
All her life, apparently.
I don't want to waste. I don't think life should ever be wasted.
But you're wasting.
How much time do you think you have to waste in activities or things that aren't going to get you towards the
You're
goal?
wasting.
0.
Okay. So do you think you're using your time? If this is the kind of outcome you want, do you think you're maximizing your time? You don't have a regular church home. You have a group you have.
Mm-hmm. A group.
All right. When was the last relationship you had?
Now.
Like the long relationship or a guy I went on a few dates with?
That's not a relationship.
I smell cat.
Okay.
Relationship.
Last August, so almost a year.
So, conversation with a born-again Christian feminist. That's the video I want to look at.
Okay.
She was from Seattle too, or she was from Arizona. Yeah, okay. There are plenty of them in there. Okay. And the bottom line is, ma'am, you gotta end up being that's one of the holes I think in church today. We're not putting couples together. You can believe what you want, and will you find somebody who shares your beliefs? True. But are you, how tall are you?
Like 5'3".
Okay. Do you want kids?
Yes.
How many?
Biologically, at least 2, and then adopt maybe 2, depending on like finances, of course.
Okay. And what kind of lifestyle do you want your family to live?
I'm in school to become an ambassador right now, so a lifestyle of helping people.
Monetary lifestyle.
To make sure that my kids don't have to worry about money and that we're able to
So
help.
you want to be able to pay for their college?
Yes. Yeah.
You want to be able to travel domestically and internationally with your family?
Yeah, I plan to live internationally.
Okay, so you want a man who is earning, and you're in DC, so you're talking about a man who's earning about $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
Do you care what race he is?
This is like, yeah, a black.
Okay. What percentage of
Yeah.
black men earn $500,000 a year?
Sorry, say that
What
again?
percentage of black men earn $500,000 or more?
A very small percentage. The percentage of
Give me a number.
Oof. I feel like I'm optimistic. I might be going too high, like 10%. I don't know.
10%. 10%. What percentage and what age do you think, what 10-year age range do you think these men are in?
Like, right. No, in their 40s. I never in my head have ever thought of like, oh, I need a guy who's making this big of a salary.
Well, that's the problem. But that's the problem. Y'all don't think of it, but you want the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I put potential parameters to it because you don't have to think of the dollars, but you do want the lifestyle. Men hit their financial stride 45 to 55. Are you prepared to marry a man 15 or 20 years your elder?
Nah, B.
Nope.
I think 15 would be my limit, maybe. But once again, like, I'm very optimistic in.
All right, so
you're gonna manifest. So that's what she's saying. She says she's gonna manifest her man to be the same age as her. She doesn't want to date an older guy. She said 15, so about 40. That's her max. Your choices are slim and none if you're trying to attain this lifestyle. And then you want to be an ambassador and not live at one place at any one time. We'll move around.
Oh my.
Lady, you definitely sound like this. And if I was a guy and I met you, you're cute, but after hearing all this, I'd be or be doing that, turning the corner and getting out of there. All right, I'm gonna wind this down and then I'm gonna finish. I didn't realize this video is gonna be that long.
Black men, really less than 1%. Less than 1%. So we're talking roughly, we got about 150,000 black men who fit that nationwide.
150,000.
Now, hold on. We already run the numbers. We've already run the numbers.
And that's just not single, married, heterosexual.
What 45 to 55-year-old black man is going to wait 2 years, and he's making $500,000, and almost all of the women want men in his category. Why is he going to wait?
Only if he has the same devotion to God that I do.
So he's a 45 or 55-year-old virgin.
Which makes, I never said they had to be a virgin.
What you said,
not
sex.
And I think that's like the
The
other
reason
thing.
the reason I do my program this way is because you ladies, you talk about things, but you don't put practicals. You don't even. It doesn't make doesn't make any sense. A man who's that age is going to wait. Man, pay attention about these men don't want to even wait 3 dates to have sex.
Yeah.
So, are you prepared to substantially lower your lifestyle
Nope.
anticipation or expectation?
Yeah, she can meet
Because here's the reality: the kind of
Beta.
men who have that kind
that
of
kind of
thing,
man.
they're typically not making that kind of money as single men.
And I'm not asking them to, though. I think that's a different
I
thing,
smell cap.
is obviously wanting someone who can provide, but I don't want to ever
No, you don't want somebody to provide. You want a luxury lifestyle. That's a luxury lifestyle. Man,
Do
five
you
hundred
think
thousand
so? Because
dollars.
I would be working as well. Like, I would
You can
never.
say that. I want you to understand, ma'am. It sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to women like you every day, and it sounds. Listen, I talked to 7 women last night. It sounds good, but I'm gonna tell you, the men who I meet next week, the 30+ black men who are in that 300 to $1 million category, they don't do that. And you're
Can I say
saying,
something?
Aha.
Sorry. I don't know if this also adds to why my thoughts on like men and finances might be a little skewed, but I was raised with, my parents have still been together for like 36 years now. And my dad was a stay-at-home dad. I don't plan to marry a stay-at-home dad by any means, because I saw how that hurt his pride a lot. But I think that also could play a role in where I'm okay with making more, but I don't plan going.
No, no.
Oh my.
Now here's the problem with that. I'm gonna end this video here. This video was a lot longer than I thought it would be. I'm gonna end this video, as a matter of fact. So here's the thing with what she just said there. The problem with that is you don't live in your parents' era. You live in this era now. And in this era, we often go with what's trendy and people follow the trends. So you'll have women who they say they can make more money than the man, but then it becomes a problem when society says they have a problem with the man making less money. Then you find women unhappy with the circumstance. Now they start seeing men that are more successful than their husbands. And then you got the social media, DMs, Instagram, all that, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp. And then things start to happen behind the scenes. So while it sounds good in practice, when your parents 36 years ago was got together, they didn't have all these distractions that exist now. And I know all the time these women out here on these social media platforms that they're not happy in their relationship. Most of the times they're entertaining like spades. When you say you got 4 in a possible, they got 1 in that possible, or 1 in 4 possibles, or 5 possibles. They got a list of who can replace that guy when he's not doing right. And then before you know it, my man is out there coming in talking about and then you're going somewhere else and you've moved on with someone else. So now it's time for relationship braces. Relationship braces, bringing hearts together, one heart at a time. 25-year-old woman. In this screen blurry right now. You say you want to find a man in the Christian realm. So let's talk about it for real. 25-year-old lady in DMV. Okay, here's the braces for you, lady. First and foremost, if you're really looking for someone in the Christian realm, you might want to actually go in the Christian realm and meet guys. I don't know if those church guys are going to be as successful in regards to the lifestyle that you want. So you got to figure this out. You got to navigate through what is great that you have values and you're not having sex and sleeping around and doing things like that. That's wonderful that you're standing up for those morals and values. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to meet the person that's going to respect those morals and values. You can't do that in the way that you're doing it now. You got to put yourself out there. I keep saying that. You got to put yourself out there socially to the kind of man that you desire. Give him the opportunity to desire you. If you don't, this is going to be a revolving cycle. I've seen it happen to a lot of women that they actually looking for a great person, but they don't know how to go about it. And they're constantly looking and looking and looking. And along the way, they meet people, but they're not the people they're looking for because they're not available for the man that they want to want them also. And those definitely are the braces. All right, folks. Wow. It is certainly time to move on from this episode. This is closing out to the end of the show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, supporting, liking, subscribing, because you could have been at home Netflix and chilling, and you're not. And this is a place where we know and love your name. So thank you again for tuning in to the Truth is Still Straight podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan St. James, and I am out.